Dun, dun, dun. Here we go again, you guys. All right, I'm gonna wait for a few of you to come on. I know I announced this yesterday, but I don't know who's gonna get here, so that's okay. Let me go and open this new tab. All right, let me know when you're on. Just say a quick hello. Just gonna wait for somebody to get on, somebody to jump on. Let me go ahead and share it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. It's a minute in. So recently I had someone from my past show back up, and in a rather interesting way. Mind you, this is not the first time this happens to me. So I guess I'll begin with what retrograde is. So retrograde is when a planet slows down enough to where it looks like it's actually rotating backwards, but it's not. All it did was it slowed down the rotation of how it moves. But Mercury is the communicator. Mercury is the planet of communication. It rules Wednesdays. So tomorrow would have probably been a better day to do this, but no, it's okay. So one of the biggest things that can happen during a retrograde is communication can go sideways. Communication can go in a way that it doesn't, what you're trying to say and what comes out of your mouth is not interpreted the way that it's supposed to. Contracts can go messed up. A lot of breakups happen right now during retrograde. But these are the ones that you need to trust. You just need to really trust these processes when they happen that way. Okay. So recently, I had maybe 3 people show up from my past. So there's a post shadow and a pre shadow to retrograde. And it starts 2 weeks before the pre, and then it starts, and then there's a 2 week after the post. Okay. And anyway, so there's a few of you on now. Okay. So what happened is so for a lot of you who know or don't know, I've been single for quite a bit of time. Nobody of importance has come into my life in these last 5 years where it's like, here, let me have you meet this person. 3 years ago there was, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that. But 3 years ago, I started dating a lot. 5 years ago, my dating started again. And that's what a lot of attention has been getting on my Facebook profile, because you guys have been reading some of those old messages. And some of you are like, that's it? That's all you posted? Well, that's all I posted at the time. It was a whole nother time, and I was a whole nother person. But anyway, somebody from my past decided that they were going to show up. And the last time he and I had a conversation, it really went bad. It was back in May of 2019. And this person, he and I met on a dating website, with a certain amount of expectation. And let's just say that I got catfished. But for those of you who know me and know me well, know that I'm not about looks. I go beyond the looks. I look into that heart. I look into the generosity. I look into people for more than what they are on the physical outside or materialistic. So anyway, this guy was supposed to help me with certain things in my life. At the time, I was reestablishing my credit, things like that. And that's what he did for part of what he did for a living. And he figured he'd have company and maybe something else. But let's just say it didn't work that way, because immediately I realized it just wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my way to, it just wasn't who I was. However, my value was really low. I had just gotten out of a 4-year abusive relationship, and I was in a whole different mental space. Let's just put it to you that way. But I tried it. And we went out a couple of times. We had some really nice dinners. He took care of it all. As I think, as my value raised, I realized what I hadn't been allowing in my life. So um, this guy, I can't call him a gentleman because he's an absolute pig, and you'll see why in a minute. Um, but and I don't talk about men like that or anybody per se, but this really just you'll see why, because I've already showed this feed to two other people and they're like, what a pig. So anyhow, but you know when you're having a whole bunch of conversations at the same time with several people on your Facebook or whatever, and all of a sudden you had the ability to react thumbs up, thumbs down. There wasn't so many reaction buttons. There was only a limited back, 2019. Well, he had told me about his weight loss, and I'm over here doing 80,000 things at the time. And I went to scroll and give him a thumbs up, and I accidentally hit the thumbs down. And then I moved on to my next conversation, but I didn't realize it. So this is how the last conversation went. He complimented me on looking good, and I told him about my dancing, whatever. And he told me that he had lost 80 pounds since he last saw me. That's what I thumbs down. On accident. I swear to God, it was an accident. He said, I'm saying I lost 80 pounds, dude, and you're giving me a thumbs down. Wow, you're so narcissistic, dude. Honestly, we're done. Every time we talk, it just gets worse than I think it can anymore. You're pathetic. These are all the comments he said to me. Before I could react and come back to this conversation, I just said, oh my God. And by then, I was blocked. Okay. I would probably block me too if I thumbs down an accomplishment like that. That's major. But I didn't explain myself, whatever, nothing happened. Here we are, 2021, and he slips into my DMs again, because mind you, we're not friends. He's like, how are you? Wonderful, thank you, and you? Good, just seeing how you've been, how you're holding up with all of this. And I said, I've been doing really well, I can't complain. How about yourself? He goes into all this blah, 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 and then he's like, do you want to see me sometime? And I said, before I answer this, I realized I made a mistake and I didn't even bother explaining myself before you went on attack mode and blocked me. So with what intentions are you trying to see me again? Hanging out, friends, doesn't have to be anything serious. I think if this year has taught us anything is that life is too short and we should just enjoy it. Mind you, this sounds like a very innocent comment. It's nothing sexual, nothing meant by it, right? Okay. So I comment back, I've enjoyed it plenty. He's like, me too, so why shouldn't we enjoy it together? Mind you, I'm reminding you how I met this guy was on a website with certain expectations, and we had been intimate, okay? I didn't want that with him anymore. I never liked him like that. It was just a really different time in my life. So he says, me too, why shouldn't we enjoy it together? Now, this is already where I'm getting uncomfortable. I'm like, this guy hasn't changed. I know what he's here for, and he just wants up. Okay. What do you mean by attacked? I said, you must have deleted the conversation. He's like, apparently you've forgotten that was a year ago. It was that impactful? He blocked me. I mean, I guess it was. Anywho, let me see what you guys are saying. Are you guys saying anything yet? No. Okay, good. So I didn't even address the impactful part because this guy also tries to take credit for my name change because of my name, where it comes from. And anyway, but that's a whole nother story. I said, I'm just making sure you're not on a vengeance. I've had my share of ridiculous of people I've lost contact with that come back and want to make sure I didn't cast a spell on them and then approach me the wrong way. I'm just being cautious. Yes, this has happened to me. I've had several men that either have approached me the wrong way, I've dated, and then after they've dated me, their life falls apart or whatever, and then they come back like, hey, how are you? Did you do anything to me? No, I didn't. I didn't do anything to you. I promise. Okay. So vengeance for what? Why would anyone, give someone that amount of their energy? I'm just interested in seeing you. I said, because some people are like that. Anyway, I'm not trying to give propaganda over here. Anyway, he's like, you missed me? What's your number? I just think you've grown a lot as a person, interested in seeing you. I'm flattered, right? This is what I respond. I don't miss you. My number has never changed. And thank you, I have. I just want to make it clear that if we're going to be friends, this will not be like it was when we first met. He responds, I don't have that number. I understand. What will it be like? What is it that you're doing these days anyway, for a living? I respond, as in it won't be sexual. He responds, I see, at first anyway. I respond to his other questions, healing work, psychic work. Yeah, you said that when I first met you. You're following your dream. That's cool. Then I replied back, no, I'm not interested in anything sexual with you. Respect that and don't push it. I'm not pushing anything, doll. So then I replied back to the comment. I see at first anyway means what exactly? Well, we'll see. I can't help what avenue our trajectory leads. Let's not overthink it. I'm just suggesting we hang out. Nothing else for now. Can y'all see where he's not respecting my boundary already? Can y'all see that? Just give me something in the chat so I know that you guys are following this. I'm curious of more of how you have evolved. I responded, actually you can by respecting the fact that I've already told you no and you keep insinuating things like nothing for now. Why are you already self-sabotaging? Is what this guy responds. I said, so I'm going to draw the line now and say, since you aren't ready to respect what I've already drawn out, no. And I'm not self-sabotaging. He responds, I'm just saying we should hang out. What it means is we're humans. And if we find something we both like, if we find something we both like, we pursue it if we want to. I don't like this guy. I really just don't. I'm just not willing to put myself in a situation where you've already stated you're unwilling to respect the fact I want nothing sexual to do with you. You have to allow a man to be a man. I'll never change on that. You like to intercept a lot before something even happens. Why is that? Better kick it away before you can get hurt. Now more than ever, this is what I said, I know what I want, and it's not you. It's never been you. I literally just said I want to hang out. If it's not me, then it's not you. I was talking about spending time together, whatever you want to do. I can see you haven't evolved as much as I had thought you did. You actually created a situation out of nothing. I responded, well, there you have it. He responds, I guess so. There you have it. I'm good. And then I replied, I really didn't. I said something you didn't like. You pressed it. I stopped it. And now you're attempting to make me feel bad for it. It's not happening. He replied, no. I said, let's hang out. You're angry for something. I don't know what. Then you insult me and come at me. I'm coming at you from a genuine place. I said, one of the biggest of my involvements have been setting boundaries. When did I insult you? Maybe I don't see it that way. I respect your boundaries. I really don't know what you're even saying at this point because you're feeling a certain way and not expressing it to me. So I'm just guessing. I'm asking, when did I insult you? I just said if we end up doing something that's more natural, that's the natural effect, then you have to go all in and say more than ever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, chill out, dude. I'm just trying to reach out after I blocked you after a year and you act uppity again. Uppity. I mean, I think you're trying, but if someone is really genuine and real and you can't accept that, you're still as toxic as ever. And I don't feel bad for you. You can say you're spiritual and post memes on Facebook about how you've evolved, but the product's in the pudding. If you didn't want to see me, you should have just said, I'm not in the right headspace. right now, and no thank you. I would have respected you. But you like to chase, and that's BS. I'm not with that anymore. So I just agreed, said, sounds good. I was really reaching out. I was really just reaching out as a human during C19. I replied, I'm not going to explain myself. He said, cool. He said, it just feels like your self-worth limits your ability to exceed. Thank you. That's your opinion. Let's go ahead and never do this again. I'm not interested in any kind of relationship with you. I will, however, thank you for giving me plenty to work on. I appreciate you. And then I blocked him. So the whole point of this video, I know that was pretty long and extensive, but how do the old me would have felt attacked. The old me would have been like, oh my God, is it true? Am I toxic? Am I this? Am I that? And I would have taken a lot of what he said personal. That's not me anymore. I've learned to take things not personal. And did I feel attacked? No. I think he felt attacked the minute I set my boundaries because he's used to possibly other women being okay with who he is as a person and the fact that maybe he has a little bit of money and that's how he gets his women. And it's just not, it's not. Now, how do you not take things personal? You got to start realizing that people are going to show up as a mirror to you. So because I wasn't taking the bait, I was just reflecting back what he needs to work on. Okay. Now, he gave me plenty to work on because that whole toxic thing, it didn't strike a nerve because I know I'm not a toxic person. If anything, I'm always trying to get people out of toxic relationships and out of toxic behaviors and things like that. Or I wouldn't be doing what I do. However, are there places in my life where I am toxic? Yeah, probably my health. Probably do things that I should probably do more exercise. I should probably drink less supplements, things like that. But that is where I can recognize the inch that he gave me to grow with. Okay. Now, one of the really biggest things is people show back up into your life when you haven't learned your lesson or to test to see how many of those lessons you've learned. Does that make sense? Now, he isn't the only person. I don't consider him an ex because it was just an intimate relationship. And the thing with this is, how do you not take things personal? How could, he straight went and attacked me on what my passion is, on what I'm doing for a living, on how I'm helping people. And I could have taken it really like, oh my gosh, it could have really put me in doubt. But because I know who I am, one of the biggest things about not taking things personal is knowing who you are. Is he called me toxic, and that's here at the frequency. And I know I'm up here or even down here. Like, I did not resonate with it any bit. But here's where the growth comes. That if you can give the person that's calling you out or saying something to you, and you can match up with it, not at the same vibration, but just give an inch as to where am I toxic in my life? Where is it? You know, I could have taken it really personal, and this probably would have maybe not come on YouTube, maybe. But I think that a lot of you can learn from this experience, especially when you have your past coming back to say, hey, have you? Now, mind you, he blocked me, but he was still watching. So this is how I also know that, you know, he's seen my growth. He was applauding it at the beginning, and then I marked my boundaries, and then he no longer liked it. So, do you guys have any questions as to what else happened? So the very first thing is that you have to realize that when you're being attacked or you feel like you're being attacked, you're resonating with something there. You're resonating with something that's being said, and you're taking it on as personal. Okay. So the whole toxic thing, I'm like, I think if anything, the way he spoke to me, and mind you, this is only one conversation. If I go back through the years, you should see how this guy has spoken to me previously in the past. But mind you, I think I'm a very forgiving person, or at least I've gotten to that point where I was willing to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I was willing to meet up with him, but I wanted to see where he was coming from, what space, what energy he's coming from. And he was clearly coming from a sexual space, which is, I already knew this. Mind you, that's not a psychic thing in me. That's not the intuition in me. It's because I know how this relationship started and what it was based on, and how that's not where I'm at. Okay. So we all got to get something out of someone, right? And he kept pressing the sex part of it, even though I had already stopped it. Now he says I created a situation out of nothing and that I was self-sabotaging. Well, I know for a fact that I didn't self-sabotage anything. If anything, I saved myself from going back into old habits, going back into, oh, I've already done this. Let's go on this merry-go-round again to see what else I learn. I think I've learned enough from this gentleman throughout the years to know that that's not who I am. That's not who I was. And I have evolved. So I took all of the good and I resonate with all of that because I know where I'm at. However, when you get men or girls, even because girls do this stuff to guys all the time, they bring up the past, right? And I did bring up the past, but because I wanted to see where he was at, I was just testing temperature. But he didn't like the temperature I was testing him at, and he was testing mine too. Part of me felt like he was trying to get a reaction out of me. And because I didn't go with it, it just didn't happen that way. So one of the very first things about not taking things personal is being aware that something is happening, that you need to step back, that you feel attacked, that you need to take a breath and realize that when it's happening at the moment, it's happening. Okay. Now, in a heated argument, you probably never have a chance to step away, but you do have a chance to stay silent. And in that silence, you can go internally and you can go, is what they're saying true? Do they know more than me? Do they know me more than I know myself? How does this apply in my life? Many of us women have been called crazy. I always tell people that, yeah, all women are crazy. You just have to find your level of crazy. How much craziness are you willing to deal with? You just find your level. Everybody has different levels, just like men do. Men don't think you get away with it. Okay. You just you resonate with a certain level of crazy. What's tolerable for you? So as you're going through this, you got to go inside and see where the things that this person is throwing at me, if I'm willing to go ahead and catch it. And if I'm willing to catch it as my own, because the minute I'm willing to catch it, now I need to grow from it. So what did this guy say? He said, I'm self-sabotaging. Well, I know that I self-sabotage previously, but this is why I give people a second chance or a benefit of the doubt. And I see where I have evolved and what I'm willing and not willing to tolerate. So it's also a thing of tolerance too. So you guys really want to pay attention to what is it that I'm willing to catch and take as my own, and what is it that I'm going to go ahead and move away from. I didn't self-sabotage anything. If anything, he wouldn't attack me. You guys can clearly see that. But I didn't explain myself. That's a whole nother thing, is that automatically when you take something personal, you go into defense mode. When you can recognize that, you know you're taking something personal. You're going into defense mode. You're going into and then you go into explanations. And then you go into why you did things. And then you go into why you are the certain way. And then because your astrology sign is this and you're a Scorpio. Sorry, Scorpios, but you guys tend to do that. But I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Anyway, but we realize that we start taking things personal, we start defending, and then we start explaining ourselves. So how do you break that down? Well, you got to start to recognize it. You got to start to recognize those moments where you're all of a sudden you're like, wait, is it me or is it them? Now the mirror, I always talk about the mirror and the 4 ways the mirror works. And whenever you see something in someone else, good or bad, you have it too. Or we wouldn't be able to recognize it. We wouldn't be able to vibe at that frequency. If you see somebody who's beautiful and you think they're amazing, well, guess what? It's because you've seen yourself as beautiful and amazing at some point in your life. Now, if you see the ugly in someone and the abusiveness in someone, it's because you've also abused yourself, or you've been abusive to yourself or to others. So we can't get off the hook thinking, oh, this guy's just a pig, and I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm using this example so you guys have a real life something to deal with. Now, people come back in retrogrades is about, this one at least, I feel like it has been majorly about boundaries, because I also had someone else try and treat me a certain way in a certain trip that I just took. And I wasn't having it. And I let them know, I'm not these other girls that you mess with. I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not them. So I had to very clearly state, how they weren't going to treat me the way they had been. And if that's the way they're going to keep treating me, that I would just rather not have them in my life. I did end up getting an apology from that person, and I'm once again going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, with this gentleman, I cut him completely off because clearly he still watches me. But he's just not somebody that I'm willing to invest any time in. There was nothing fruitful that came out of that. There was nothing, like, if anything, was a lot of broken promises. And for him to have said that my worthiness, what was the exact? My self-worth limits my ability to exceed. Totally taken just somewhere else. However, I'm sorry, if anything, my self-worth has increased so much that I'm not willing to tolerate people like him in my life. So you're allowed to cut people off again, but you're also allowed to let them back in. But only you decide how long that's going to last. Does that make sense? So I'm hoping you guys learned something from this. I know I still owe you guys a video about the friends and why friends come in and out of your life and what they're there for and all these things. So I know I'm still going to spill the tea on that one because that's actually a whole nother personal story that you guys can learn a lot from. Again, I'm not here to make myself look good or avoid looking bad, because I know how I met this guy and I know the circumstances of how our relationship went until it didn't, right? And at some point, I did definitely use an excuse of something he said to me to blow it completely out of proportion, because I didn't know how to tell him, I don't want to be with you. I'm done. So I took one little thing that he said and I totally blew it out. Now, again, so I'm not trying to look good here, guys. I'm giving you facts on both sides. But what the opinions are of others shouldn't matter to you, because who knows you more than you know yourself? And that's why when people attack you and you're resonating with something, you really got to pay attention to why it is that you're resonating with that stuff. So pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to how you react to things. Notice the moment it's happening and then stop. Take a breath and say, am I resonating with the word they're telling me? Am I resonating with the accusation? Am I resonating with what they're saying that I am? And if any of that is true, then that's what you need to work on. That's where you want to go ahead and accept that what they're saying has at least an inch of truthness behind it. And that's where the growth starts, because then you apply it and they're reflecting back to you what you need to work on. Now, the mirror also works this way. If they attacked you and they said, oh, you're a fucking bitch, okay? And you know you're not a bitch, and it slid right off, it belongs to them. So clearly all of this toxicity and everything, I use both examples. I don't think I'm a toxic person. I am toxic in certain areas of my life. I also know that I think I've evolved enough to know that this is just somebody that I don't want in my life, period. So it's okay to cut people off. It's okay to give people second chances, but only you decide what level you're willing to tolerate. So I'm hoping you guys got something out of this. I will be back soon with the other live that I had promised you guys back in December about the whole friendships and why people come in and out of your life that way, not just during retrogrades. But this one definitely upped the ante because it made me realize how much I have evolved. And he attacked me where I should probably be really freaked out, because there was another situation with someone else who used to stalk me that went and did all these kind of reviews that weren't true on my business page. So he tried to attack me once again through that avenue. So slander is really big right now with this retrograde too. So you guys be careful. Just be very cognizant of the people that you have around you. And when you are and you no longer vibe at a certain thing, you're allowed to cut these people off, even if it's family. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.